Any negative side effects to stem cells that anybody's seen?
Yes. So the big ones are blood clots. Depending on which tissue your stem cells came from,
Mm-hmm.
they can induce clotting based on a specific factor that's on the surface of those cells. And in fact, our lab published a series of papers on this side effect, showing that there's a whole range. Amniotic fluid stem cells are the worst, and nobody should ever use those for anything.
Yep.
Umbilical cord stem cells are pretty good in this regard.
Okay.
Bone marrow mononuclear cells, like you get from your own bone marrow,
Yeah.
are the best, but you don't ever get those in a clinic because of the way they have to be produced.
Got it. It's a pretty invasive procedure.
Well, it requires you to know how to process bone marrow to specifically get those stem cells. The clinics that you're talking about
Yeah.
in other countries that are unregulated, they don't have that expertise.
Got it.
Okay, they rely on somebody else to give them their stem cells.
Yep.
Those people in turn are relying on some source of cells that they have that's a regular source of cells that they can use,
Yes.
that they can get cheaply.
Get cheaply.
Yeah.
And I've heard them brag about there's more stem cells, the method they use versus the bone marrow one. Is that accurate or?
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can grow those in a culture dish, but you can do that with bone marrow stem cells too.
Okay. And do they multiply when you put them back in your body? Is there a time period that happens?
No,
No.
no. Pretty much the dose that you get is the dose that you get.
Yeah.
There's kind of a standard dose, 10 million cells per kilogram.
Okay.
That's sort of everybody's coning in on as the dose that gives you the effect that you need without, because you start piling in more cells, you're just going to induce more blood clots.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. And the clotting, how would you know if you're a person that's more likely to clot versus is there
It's
a way
really hard to tell.
It's really hard to tell, yeah.
Yeah.
So is the clotting, I know you don't have like exact numbers, but like, is it super risky or is it like, yeah, one out of every, you know?
It's probably more like more on the latter side of what you just
Yeah.
said. But a lot of it depends on the cells.
Okay.
Okay. If you go to a place where they've treated 5,000 people
Okay.
that haven't had an enormous number of blood clots, flying home from one of these places is itself a risk factor
Yeah.
for blood
For
clotting.
clotting, yeah. Yeah.
It's probably more on the not too big a problem
Yeah.
side of things, but it is a risk benefit calculation that's very, very hard for a non-physician to make.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
particularly when the benefit is also very unclear. Right?
Sure.
People
Hard to
want stem cells to work. I want them to work.
Yeah.
We've worked for 25 years trying to make them work,
Right.
and we have a disease and a specific protocol where we're beginning to be pretty sure it works.
Yeah.
But that's taken a long time. So people want the promise of some sort of a benefit where one may or may not exist. There may be one there. There also may not be one there. At this point right now, you're paying your money and you're taking your chances.
Yeah. Yeah. And is there, I guess there's nothing you could do. I mean, clotting, taking aspirin, or is this pretty?
Taking aspirin probably would help.
Yeah.